Hello and welcome to Mr Marvell and Friends episode 7. Sorry I haven't really posted a podcast in recent weeks. It's a bit hard trying to organise some of them with some people living in different countries and whatnot. But yeah, we've got one this week and it is with my friend Ben. How you doing, Ben?
Hey, all good. Yourself?
Yes, all good, all good. Looking forward to this one. Do you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself and like the sort of games you're into and whatnot?
Well, I've been gaming since I was early teens. So from the original like PlayStation, Xbox, all the way up to recent. I play a bit of a variety of games, but I think one of the ones I sort of like getting into is a bit of horror, a bit of zombies, and a little bit of sci-fi like Star Wars and things like that, as you can probably see from my shirt. Yeah, just I like playing all sorts as long as it's got a good story and it sort of gets me gripped from the first hour. Then yeah, I'm golden. I'll be playing that all the way through.
Wicked, wicked. So let's get straight into it. So this is going to be sort of a zombie horror sort of themed podcast. So you've been recently playing the new Resident Evil. Do you just want to tell us how you're getting on with that?
I haven't finished it yet. I won't go into too much stuff because I don't want to throw any spoilers out there. But it's obviously changed a lot since from your old school Resident Evils from like the early PlayStations where it was just zombies and you had the old fashioned awkward camera angle, clunky controllers. So this one's all first person, a little bit similar to Biohazard. It continues on from there, but I got really into it because I like it's now gone into a bit more supernatural. So you got like a mixture of vampires in there. You've got still got some relative sort of zombies in it, but there's werewolves as well. But it's got the story for me sort of gripped me from the beginning because it literally it continues on from Biohazard straight up to what's happened with your character Ethan and his missus all the way over to present day.
Oh, cool. So you're having a ton of fun with it then.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. What it's still got is a little bit like what the old Resident Evils had. Like you got to solve puzzles and you got to go and collect keys and things like that. Without giving too much away, everyone's probably knows about the 9-foot lady. I can't pronounce her surname, but everyone's seen that all over Facebook. But she does a little bit like what the new remake of Resident Evil 2 does. She will follow you and stalk you throughout the castle. So for that one, it keeps you on your toes.
Oh God, I'd hate that. I would not like that. Yeah, I play the odd sort of horror game and zombie game, which we'll get into, I'm sure, throughout the podcast. But yeah, I don't know if I'd like a stalker throughout the whole game.
I had to giggle at one bit. Like it's not too far into it, and I'm sure some people have played it. So I'm just going to throw this out as a little bit of a tiny spoiler alert. But there's one thing that at the time sort of made me jump, and then reflecting back on it did make me giggle. Was that when your character Ethan is running from the 9-foot lady, and you sort of get a bit of a head start, and you hear she's coming. So you go to pull down on a crank to open up a gate. And as you're doing it, you just hear shing, like that. And his arm just drops from his hand. So his hand's still holding on the thing, but he doesn't respond straight away. He's shocked. And then you just hear him go, ah, like that. And I reflected back on it because I just would love to have seen his face just go, ah!
Oh, cool. So has there been any of them Thomas the Tank Engine mods on this one?
Not yet. I think it's only because it's been out 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. So I don't think many people have got round to it yet. But as you know, the internet's full of horny people. So people have started making up bits on with the lady because obviously she's got a figure on her. But there's been some comments that I've seen all over Facebook, like because there's a scene where she bites into your arm. Into your wrist and suck some of your blood out. So obviously people have commented about that, saying, "Oh, that would be something else they would like to see."
I can imagine. So you're enjoying it then? It's a good game.
Yeah, I've still got a little bit left to go. I haven't finished it, but so far it has been good. There's been bits that have been quite creepy in it. It's a sort of a mixture. There's creepy bits in it because your mind gets played with because there's different sort of, shall we say, bosses in it, and they all have different abilities and different ways of sort of torturing you and messing with your head a little bit. And then there's a bit of action in it as well. I'd say one of the characters did creep me out quite a bit because you're in a dark place, you've got no weapons anymore, and they play on on your mind. You're hearing noises, you're seeing things that aren't really there. And that for me was probably the creepiest bit in it. It kept me sort of seated a bit closer because I was just like, what the hell was going on? Because you're hearing all these whispering voices, and then no spoiler for this, there's something that just jumps out on you and stuff like that. It did make me jump a little bit.
Oh, wicked. So,
yeah. For any of your viewers, if they like horror games and they've not looked into this one too much, I would say it's definitely worth a purchase.
Sweet. Even I might give it a go. You never know. Never know.
Let me know how you do with it.
Will do, mate. Will do. So let's get into one of the main zombie type games. I know the developers, Naughty Dog, said it wasn't really a zombie game, The Last of Us, but it pretty much is, isn't it? Let's be honest. You're a pretty big fan of the series, it's safe to say.
Yeah, I liked it from the first one. I know a lot of people have given the second one a bit of stick, and we've talked about this quite a bit when we've seen each other in person. But no, that's another one that I enjoyed quite a lot.
Yeah, so do you just want to delve into that a little bit more? Let's start from the first game. Sort of what enticed you in from the first game, would you say?
It was one of my first ones. So when I first purchased my PS4, it was a digital download that come with it. And I thought to myself, I'll definitely give that a go. I mean, it's a zombie game. It says what I saw of it was a survival horror. So I was like, yeah, put it on straight away, started playing it, and was pretty much stuck into it straight away. So I like the whole play of, it's not just zombies. It's not just to go around like Call of Duty zombies, just go around killing as many as you can. You had a story involved with it. It was a survival as well. So you had to scrape together parts, like to make bits for your guns to improve them, to make health packs and things like that. And it wasn't just zombies. It was a real life situation that if the world did go to hell, people would turn on each other. You'd get your factions of people and they'd want your stuff and things like that. So that's what really got into me. And that fact was, you weren't on your own. You had a character with you that also had that you had that communication going. They would talk. And even if like you got your character, Joel, got pinned up by someone, Ellie would come along and stab him in the back to get him off. Or if she was in trouble, if Joel, your character, went in there to break it up, like get him off of her, you would hear him say, get off of her and stuff like that. So it made it quite sort of lifelike, realistic. And even the actions, like pick up a brick and throw it over there, to get distracted. You could then either sneak behind them or sneak away. And that happened with all even the zombies themselves, like the clickers and things. So that's what really got me into it. And the fact that it was a really good story, that you sort of got stuck into it. You had your scary moments, you had your touching moments, like with the scene where they go past with the giraffes, and you'd hear them talking about things as they went along. And if you found stuff, and that's what I really found quite interesting.
Yeah, that's definitely the highlight of the game, the relationship between Joel and Ellie.
Yeah, because it starts off, he doesn't want nothing to do with her. And then you see, as the game progresses, they start to develop like a father-daughter bond. And that's what sort of made it even more touching, was right at the end. He could have just taken his payday and walked away, but they've been traveling for what could have been months and maybe even nearly a year. And you saw that bond develop over time. That's what I really enjoyed about it. Because, yeah, like we've spoken about before in the past, games can throw out all the amazing graphics, they can look beautiful, but if there's no story to it, you're just going to lose interest. It's like picking up a book, for example. It may look amazing front cover and you look at the artwork. If you start trying to read it and it feels like a drag, you're just going to simply put it back. You're going to close it and then you're going to put it on the shelf or whatever. and probably never look at it again. At games like that, you just got to have a good story. You got to get sucked into it. So from the get-go, if you're finding that it's interesting and gripping, you're more than likely going to want to get back to it and play and finish it and find out what happens. And if it's that good, you probably want to play it again.
Yeah.
I've played Last of Us through about 3 times or so, 4 times. And each time I thought I'll knock the level up a little bit more, get another trophy. But to also find if my skills have improved a bit more with it.
Yeah, I remember you saying every year or so you'd say, "Yeah, I'm playing Last of Us again." You know.
Yes, got to be done.
Yeah, yeah. So let's get into sort of the end of the story. What do you make of the whole dilemma with Joel? Obviously, because he sees her as a daughter now, and basically saving her and killing all those people at the hospital. What did you make of that at the time?
Oh, the first time I played that through, I didn't want her to go either, because I was just like, you've spent this much time, and where they've worked on their characters as well to make you want to have a relationship for them. You want to feel for them and everything. When it comes to that, they were going, "Oh, she's most likely going to die." No, it's a tough decision as well, because being a father myself, it would be like if someone said to me, "Oh, your daughter can cure mankind as such and such, but she's going to die doing it," and you didn't have a choice in it, you'd be really torn. So like him, he didn't want to just see her get used or turned into like a lab rat. I think he genuinely at the time, even though they never said it, was that he loved her, and he just didn't want to see her die. It was a really sort of gripping end. And then the way they ended it, when she asked like, "Oh, are you telling the truth?" basically, and he just said, "Yeah, you knew, well, something else is going to happen here. There's going to be some repercussions," because he just literally run in, gun blazing, and shot everyone.
Yeah, it's mad. I remember playing it for the first time. I was like, bloody hell, what is going down here? But at the same time, you killed a lot of people throughout the whole game. So
yeah,
not just clickers. Killed a lot of humans.
And he's even like, she even asked him about it, didn't she? If I remember correctly, it has been a little while since I played it now, but she asked him correctly, like, has he always been like as he is? Because there was a scene, if I remember correctly, they got jumped, and he said, "Oh, what they do is they set up traps and they do this and that." And I think Elliot inquired into it, and he said that he's been on both sides. He's been the victim of a basically like being jumped, and he's also laid the traps himself. So Joel's had a very checkered past. So he's not, from not what we've seen, he's not always been like the good father-y type. He has, being brutally honest, he has murdered quite a few people as well. So there was always going to be a chance, like in the second one, his past was going to catch up with him.
Yeah, and let's get into the second one, because, well, first of all, I just want to say the spoilers came out, didn't they, early on about Joel dying.
Yeah, thank you, internet.
And I remember feeling quite sick when I see that. I thought, what are they doing?
Yeah.
You didn't really see the spoilers? Did you see the spoilers close to the release? Because you didn't see them straight away, did you?
No, I'd try it. Like I got spoilers for the first of the newer Star Wars. So that made me realise, oh yeah, I'm best be very careful when it comes to things that I'm really invested in. So when I started seeing things for like Last of Us Part 2, I tried my utmost to try and not look at anything, no matter how much it sort of interested me. Like, oh, maybe it can help me out in the games. I was like, no, I know what it's like. I'm going to check I'll read the comments, and someone's going to say something. So I was just like, I did my best to try and stay away from all of those.
Yeah. Well, that's all right then. But yeah, we're going to the second game, and man, it happens pretty much straight away, doesn't it? Joel's death, which is a brutal death by Abby, whose dad was one of the NPCs in the hospital. Obviously, they didn't plan ahead, did they? Because it wasn't the same person in that hospital. Yeah. But that happens in games, I guess. It was a brutal death, wasn't it? It's just, for me, it didn't I don't think they should have done it that soon. And do you know what annoyed me as well, though? You know, in the trailers, they swapped the character models. So in the trailers, the character models were the older Joel and Ellie. But in the game, they were flashbacks, weren't
Yeah.
they? And then there was that moment in the trailer where Joel goes, he taps, holds her mouth or something and says, "You think I'll let you do this on your own?" But in the game, that's that Jesse character, isn't it? So I must admit, things like that annoyed me straight away.
Yeah, I think like it did happen quite early in, and I was I think we had discussed this, saying like, oh, obviously when you play, we're going before we actually started playing it ourselves and everything. We were saying like, how's it going to go? Because obviously Joel is not going to be as young as he was in the first one. We're looking at potentially 10 years or so later. So he would have been what? I mean, his character wasn't even that young in the first one. He would have been in his late 40s, early 50s or so. So what, 60s in the new game. So we discussed that, saying, oh, we must be like playing the Ellie role. You're going to be, main character's going to be Ellie. He's going to be the sort of the backup. And then when there was nothing really with him, and he just got taken out within first couple of hours of game, I was a bit, I wouldn't say, I was very surprised. I was just like, oh, because there was when you're coming across playing as Ellie and you know he's in that building, I thought she was going to be able to save him or he was going to be able to get away. And then when she got captured and taken to the floor and you just see Joel just get taken out, I was like, my face was pretty much like this, just like, huh? What happened there? And yeah, you get flashbacks to play to see him about a bit, but yeah, it did hurt a little bit, shall we say, to see that he was taken out so soon and in
Yeah,
such a brutal way as well.
yeah, yeah. Obviously, people do like it, and fair play to them. You know, people like different things, but I just don't think that was the right way to do it. Do it later in the game. There's so many different variables, like, and the thing like with Abby, so Abby kills Joel in a brutal way, and then later you play as her, and she's this nice person who pets dogs and saves people, and like, but a lot of people were pissed off with Abby by that point. It didn't matter what you was, how the game was trying to portray as a lovely person. She had already done that to Joel.
It was the same for me. When I started playing as Abby, because I didn't realize it was going to be a split thing. I thought it was just going to be a complete revenge story of Ellie going after Abby, and I can't remember their team name. I thought it was going to be a complete revenge story, but it starts off you play as Ellie for so long, and then yeah, you go into playing as Abby. And when that happened, I do remember just sitting there going, I'm not really that fussed anymore, but I carried on playing, and then you start to build a little bit of a relationship for her. You can see why she did what she did, and in your head, you probably think, yeah, I would have done the same thing if someone just come along and brutally murdered my father. I would want revenge as well, and it shows you how good. For me, it showed you how good they made that story, because that you could go from don't like her, and then you start to feel for her, and you see her as she starts to save other people, and she's a human being as well. You get to start to see it from both sides of the story. Like Ellie pretty much lost her father, and Abby did lose her father, wanted revenge, found the person who'd done it, and you can relate to that. But yeah, it was just like the first time I started playing as I was just like, yeah, I'm not really that fussed now. But I've carried on, and yeah, you start to really feel for her, even though she is stacked.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the Abby character, to be honest. But I guess it made sense. So how did you sort of find the whole revenge cycle of revenge is bad? Because that's basically what the plot is about. That's the main theme, isn't it? You know, do you like that sort of stuff?
I do a little bit. I mean, I like playing all sorts, but it does show this. The game basically just tells you that for every action there could be a positive or negative reaction back. So, like for Joel, he prevented a cure for mankind, but he saved someone he loved, but he ended up killing a lot of people to do it, and that many people being taken out, and for a big faction, what was it, the Fireflies being just decimated in one go, there was going to be something that was going to come back off of it, because all those people must have had friends and family. There was going to be some investigation into it, whether it was what remained of the Fireflies or people family finding logs of what happened. And it shows you that his past caught up with him. So for whatever you do, something bad or good will happen back out of it. And for Joel, it was something bad. His past caught up with him, and they found him, and they took him out, and even his brother got a bit of a savage beating as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. Do you know what? When you started talking about that, actually, it reminded me of, I don't know if you know the first Austin Powers, where this henchman dies from the sea bass, and then they show the call to the family and the kid. That's what Last of Us 2 kind of is like. It's like the person you didn't look, it was a random NPC, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The person you didn't think mattered ends up married in the second game.
It does. It shows you like the people that you don't even think about. Like if it was real life, all of these people have got their own separate lives. And I do it to my missus when she's playing like Assassin's Creed or whatever. Like when she goes up behind someone and shanks him, I go, that guy had a family, you know. just killed him. He was just doing his 9-to-5 job, minding his own business. You just come along and shanked him. And that's basically what it is. It's like all those little flashbacks like from the Austin Powers film. Just get off the phone. Oh yeah, he was just murdered by a savage sea bass.
Yeah. Yeah. I watched that the other day. That's how it reminded me of it. But yeah, let's get back into the story. Sorry. What was you talking about? You was talking about
like the repercussions of Joel's actions in from the first one into the second one.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Joel's brother gets beaten as well. Yes. I personally didn't like the story, to be honest. I think there's a million other ways they could have done it. Look, I'm not saying Joel probably should have died in the second game, but I just don't think the timing of it. And there was so many jumping back and forth, like back in time, Abby to Ellie, back to Abby. And
that bit did get quite confusing because there was nothing like that in the first one. It just flowed smoothly. And with the second one, I didn't mind the transitioning too much between the two characters, but it was the flashbacks did get a little bit disorientating to the story because it was like it didn't feel as smooth. It was like, oh, what can we do to sort of make this last a bit longer? Oh, we'll put a flashback to when Ellie was like 13 again and so on. I mean, some bits were nice because then you get to see how the time did what they did between the ending of the first to the second one. Like, oh, they did have bonding moments again, but it was a bit like you just want to carry it on. You just want to carry on playing the game. And then when you finally start feeling like you're getting somewhere with Ellie, boom, you're now playing as Abby again. And you're just like, yeah, it could have been a DLC, for example.
Yeah, yeah. And those flashbacks, though, I know a lot of people think they're the best moments in the game because it's more centered around Joel.
I think that's probably another reason why they added so much in because, yeah, like you said, they killed off one of the favourite characters. And they was just like, for a lot of us, we're like, oh, that's him gone already. Okay. So they threw in a couple of little bits to bring his character back in, but you still didn't play as Joel. He was just another sort of secondary character. There was some bit I did enjoy it. Yeah, it didn't flow as well for me as the first one, but it's still a game that I have played a couple of times through just to try and get a bit more into it, like doing little secondary things, finding the coins, and like even like in the first one, you find the Firefly medallions and so on. But it just didn't feel as smooth as the first one for me.
Yeah. And I sort of mentioned it earlier about the cycle of revenge is bad. What did you make of the ending? Not killing Abby. Did you want to kill Abby? Or
I did when I started playing, because it was just like, obviously she was someone that Joel and all that help out, and then she sort of turns on them with her group, and then wasn't even like a quick death. He was beaten to death, and not only that, his brother saw it, and Ellie obviously saw it. So I did want her to die, but then near the end, I didn't anymore. And I think for Ellie, when she finally caught up with her and saw what had happened, Abby had almost been tortured enough. You saw her as like a shell of what she once was. And I didn't want her to die at the end of it, because I played throughout her, and me as playing as Abby, you start to see what the reasons behind her, what she was doing. But I think it has left it potentially open for a third story. I don't know what they'll do with it anymore. But yeah, I think it has left it open. And they brought in some decent, interesting characters. Like I can't think of what their name is, but where they do the whistling to each other, and they seem like a massive cult. I think that was a good thing to bring in. So could leave it open that you start to face them a bit more.
Yeah, and your nemesis is one of the family members who you killed, maybe.
Another revenge story.
Yeah. But I think the ending was, where Ellie just leaves the house and leaves the guitar. She's got one of her fingers bitten off, wasn't it? Was it bitten off? While since
It has been for me as well. It was a while since I've also played it.
But she lost her finger, did she?
Yeah.
So it's basically a sort of a sad, empty end with Ellie, and she just walks away. I mean, that could lead anywhere really, but I don't know.
Because she and her girlfriend, I think the girlfriend gave birth, didn't she? And that could also be another thing there, that Ellie's past, because obviously Ellie has also done a lot of bad things in her past. Like, she's been involved in killing lots of people, and then in her revenge story, she pretty much did a Joel and started killing off quite a few people, trying to get back to Abby and so on. So it could be that something catches up with her, and that her and her new family have to run or whatever. It could leave it open for a third story. It'd be interesting if they do, or even if they bring in like a new person, like a completely different story that you may cross paths with Ellie. Could be a different faction of people. It's a new universe that has got quite a lot to offer still.
Yeah. And maybe in the third game, they'll focus more on the clickers and stuff, because it weren't really that focused around them in this game, was it?
There was one big clicker thing that they brought in that I quite enjoyed, and that was when you was playing as Abby's character. I thought that one was like an interesting twist, because you don't really get to see many of the big ones as much. And this one being left underground for so long amongst all like the spores and everything, how big it had grown. It'd be interesting if more of that starts to come along.
Yeah.
A lot of it territories obviously being closed off and no one being left there amongst all the spores. Maybe other big creatures are developing.
Yeah, maybe. And so in terms of the gameplay, we'll quickly touch on that. They improved it a bit, didn't they? And they added the proning. What did you make of the gameplay? Did it improve enough for you?
Yeah, there was a few nice updates that were brought in. So like where you could customize more, you could make more things as well. And there was some new sort of perks that they brought in that I thought was good. So all the all the herbs and medicines that you find, you can improve your skills more so than you could in the first one. And I thought that was quite good. So that you can make more arrows, you can make different sort of shivs and things like that. I thought that was a nice little touch. And also, even when you're doing things, it's the facial expressions you see when they're sort of like when Ellie's hiding and someone comes close, you see that she starts to like get her face like ready to just pounce. Whereas you didn't get so much of that in the first one. Like you didn't get as much facial expressions. And I thought that was nice little touches that they added in there.
Oh, cool. So, what would you rate it out of 10? I'll put you on the spot there. Actually, I'll get you to rate both Last of Us games out of 10. First one first.
I would say the first one would be a 9 for me out of 10, mostly because of the story. It flowed really nicely, and you saw that father-daughter bond develop from the first one, where it was Joel and I can't remember his partner's name at the time, had this plan and what they were going to do. And then then when she gets bit and she sacrifices herself for Joel and Ellie, you see that bond start to develop slowly, and then it does start to progress more so as time goes on. So that for me was a 9 out of 10. I think the second one would be about an 8 out of 10. It was a lot of good updates, and I did enjoy the story and so on. But the transition in between Ellie and Abby too frequently, and then quite a few flashbacks sort of made the story, didn't feel it was as smooth. But better updates, obviously some better graphics. Yeah, an 8 out of 10 for me.
Nice. That was a quite decent little chat about Last of Us. You sum it up pretty well. You do. So another one I want to mention that I know you liked is Days Gone, because apparently there's not a second game. It was kind of rejected, the second game. But what did you make of Days Gone?
I've only played that one once. Not that I didn't enjoy it, but because it was quite a big game. And then I started getting into some other little bits. But I thought Days Gone was actually a pretty decent game. Like, you do get flashbacks in that one, but it wasn't all the time. It was every so often. And you had the option to go and explore and do stuff like that. And what I found quite interesting was another sort of thing was how humanity would react should like civilization crumbles, like there is no law, there's no order anymore. Like, what would people do? People would start to hoard food. They would start to like separate into groups. If anyone comes here, they'll probably more likely just turn them away or take their stuff. And it showed you those different groups, because you could be riding around on your bike, mind your own business, and you just get hit with like a wire between two trees or something, and they'll try to rob you up, and you got to fight for survival. And then you got your scavenging for weapons and art and like bullets and things like that. And even the modifying the bike and so on to make it run smoother and be faster and stuff like that. I thought all these little things were nice touches, and like even the way he reacted with leaders of the groups. I think it was a decent game, and it just because it didn't get a massive like sale at the start. But if the company look at how people are reacting to it now, especially because it was just a freebie on the PlayStation Store, I think last month or the month before. If there've been many downloads and now people playing it, I think they could do more with it. I think a second game would definitely be worthwhile.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's on the back burner. I think at the minute it got rejected. So overall, you would say it was a good story.
Yeah,
as well.
Like you spend all this time trying to find out what happened to your missus, and even when the person that you're talking to finally reveals what's happened and everything, it left it open for a second one to come out. And I think they could do quite a bit with it, because you didn't just have your zombies, you had your different factions of people. And then even when like the what are they called? People got like, I think they called them the Scars, wasn't it?
Think so. That rings a bell.
Something like that. The Scars attacking like a settlement and things like that. And when you go into that story, it did leave it open for a second one. And I think it would definitely be a good game if they could do it.
Oh, wicked.
I like the idea as well that when you found like a little group of zombies, they all come running out as like one mind coming after you. And you could either ride off on your bike and leave them. I sometimes would lead them to a group of like raiders and things like that, and I'd let them just fight each other for a while, then come in and finish whoever's off. I used to use that to my advantage, and I thought that was quite a nice touch that you could just get like lead one to another and just hide while they fight.
Yeah, the holds gave me nightmares. They
Especially the
so
last food.
so many of them, weren't there?
In the story, there was a massive horde that they wanted you to fight, and that was what people saw in the clips for quite a while before the game actually come out. Was him running around like what looked like abandoned train station or an abandoned warehouse, just shooting things to make like things fall over and using the environment. And that one took me ages to, because I think it was like near like 1,000 zombies or something that you had to fight off, and that took me a couple of attempts to do.
Yeah, I bet. So yeah, is there any other sort of horror games you've been playing recently, the last 6 months or so?
Not really. I actually started playing a bit of Jedi Fallen Order. It took me a little while to first off get into that, and but once I actually sort of grinded with it a little bit, I actually really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, playing as a Jedi, it's the best sort of silky Jedi game. Like in terms of using a lightsaber, so far, I'd say.
Yeah, I really did. I really started enjoying that one because first off, for me, it was a little bit like it felt like I was playing a bit of Dark Souls because I put the difficulty up and I was just getting taken out, and then I had to go and reclaim my experience. Or if I finally got to a save point and I saved it, all of my enemies that I've just spent ages fighting just respawned.
Yeah.
So I had to actually knock the difficulty down a little bit. But once I actually got into it, I started putting the difficulty back up because I now got a much more of an idea for it. And as your abilities start to improve, even like deflection and your skills with the lightsaber get better, like the game starts to feel more smooth. Because obviously from the start, you're playing as basically like a Padawan. You're a rookie Jedi. And as the time goes on, you get better abilities, you improve. Like you've played all the way through, I'm assuming, haven't you, Kyle?
Yeah, I've finished it. Yeah,
You get like the dual blade and things like that. It just feels a lot better.
yeah, and some of the combos are amazing.
Yeah, I really did. I really got into that, but for me, that I finished it and it just ended abruptly. I was like, oh, you recruited the recruited like the witch, and you have that bit of a confrontation with Vader, and then it's just like basically he sets up like, oh, we're about to go on another adventure, then it just ends. I was like, oh, is that it?
Yeah, I think you go to recruit younger Jedi, don't you? Don't you at the end? That's sort of the next mission.
He had sort of a premonition of what would happen if he did. And I thought that was quite interesting because you see, like, if he was to recruit Jedi, Vader and the Empire would find out, and they would basically take him and torture him and the others into becoming new Inquisitors. So I feel like when they found the holocron, he actually just sliced through it with his lightsaber and just said, basically let fate decide what happens for him, keep him safe. But they go on to just basically go on more adventures. And I've heard rumor that there might be a second one in the makes. So I'd be interested to get into that one.
Yeah, I want a second one. I feel like there's a bit of unfinished business. Like I feel, excuse me, still got that cough from that cold, that bloody cold. I think there's potential there to even improve the gameplay. As much as I loved the lightsaber, there's a lot of potential there still, and yeah, the story, of course. Like, I want more story with Cal. His name's Cal, isn't it? Yeah. Been a while since I played it, but yeah. What about the I forgot his name, the sort of the captain of the ship? What's his name? He proper cracked me up at times. He did.
I can't think of his name right now, but yeah, that little four-armed alien.
He's quality.
Yeah, it starts off that he doesn't actually like him, and he just feels like he's a bit of like a like another mouth to feed basically on the ship. But then you see they all start to trust each other, and the relationship builds up from there. I started to really like him as well, right? Like sort of middle of the game onwards. Did you get captured by any bounty hunters on your in your gameplay?
I think so. I can't remember. Oh, what happened? What happened if you did?
I was fighting someone and I got knocked out, and you wake up on basically you wake up on another ship, and your lightsaber's been taken away, and BD1 has also been taken away, and you have to escape and find your lightsaber, find BD1, and then you have like a battle in this arena looking thing, and right as you're battling away, the ship comes back and they rescue you, and you go off and you find out that the captain, I can't remember his name either, has a big gambling problem, and they basically took Cal and BD1 as like payment because the Jedi's are got like a big ransom on their head, so they took that as payment. So it puts you off like a little bit of like not really a story, but you encounter more bounty hunters as the gameplay goes through.
Yeah, I did experience that. Sorry, yeah, I do remember that. That was pretty cool. There was all them monsters or getting like recycled or something, wasn't there? Or
Yeah.
getting killed. I don't know. I can't remember so much about that bit, but yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it. Proper, like.
On the subject of Star Wars, I don't know if you ever played the original Knights of the Old Republics, but I've seen some bits, some rumors that they're looking to remaster them and bring them back out with like the abilities like from Fallen Order, much more smoother lightsaber battles. And I don't know if they'll keep it as a turn-based system still, but there's been rumors flying around that they could be looking to remaster and bring them back out, which I thought would be quite good. Because the original Knights of the Old Republic is what got me first off into playing RPGs. Because I had the original Xbox, and being a bit of a Star Wars nerd, like I saw that for sale in a Blockbuster. That's how long ago this is. Shows me age a little bit. But there was I saw the first Knights of the Old Republic for sale in a Blockbuster. So I picked it up for, I'll give it a game. Like I like Star Wars, and never played RPGs before then. I think that was what got me into gaming more, and started playing it and fell in love with it. So like hearing that to be brought out like a remaster and new, maybe a bit more story to it and more in depth, I was like, oh, I'd have to get my hands on one of those.
Yeah, that would be cool. I might even have to play that as well.
You ever play the original ones?
I don't think I did. I do remember them vaguely, but yeah, I know you've
a lot of things are coming out about Darth Revan and stuff like that being brought into like Star Wars universe, and yeah, if you've never played it, if they do remaster it, definitely look at getting it. I mean, like the old one is got to be about 20 odd years old, nearly, very dated, but again, it's the story. It's got a good story to it, so I still go back to it every so often.
Oh, wicked, mate. Cool. So, unless there's anything else you want to add to that, I think we might wrap it up. It's already been about 45 minutes nearly, I reckon. Is there anything else you want to add?
Well, I mean, when it comes to gaming, I could probably ramble on about quite a bit. But like, if you ever want me back on your podcasts to talk about some other ones, probably go into like a bit of Assassins, because I know you like Assassin's Creed. Could discuss that next time if you like.
Yeah, sounds good.
If your fans want me back, that is.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. Well, I know you're not really a content creator or anything, but I'll put a link for you into your Instagram in the description below. Unless you don't want me to.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, you're big into your fitness. You got a lot of sort of tips and tricks, haven't you? Fitness and that. So yeah,
I've got a fair bit of knowledge, shall we say?
Yeah. So give Ben a follow if you're into that stuff, and yeah, I think we'll wrap it up. So thanks again for coming on. Been a great guest.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. My pleasure. So Yeah, I'm going to wrap it up now. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and see you soon. See ya.